Hi there guys, it's Fred Barton from ChineseIsEasy.org again here. I'm really sorry to have been away for so long. There are a few technical issues, but I'm back again now and ready to teach you how to learn Chinese and try and share some of the tips that took me from zero to interpreter in 5 years while I was mainly self-taught and studying part-time. So today I wanted to talk about the best way to learn Chinese characters. Now for me, the best way was this trusty book from Mrs. Jiang. She was like my best friend when I was learning Chinese characters. Now, this is available in China. I just bought this on Amazon with the purpose of teaching you guys. I left my huge stack of them back in China. If you are in China or you know anyone who's over there, you can get them from the New Century bookstore. Extremely cheaply. If not, you can still get them on Amazon. And the reason that I really love these books for teaching Chinese and learning Chinese characters is because it gives you the story behind each character, and it has a cool little comic book kind of approach, and it actually has the really ancient Guwen, which is the inscriptions that were made on the turtle shells thousands of years ago. And it takes you through the three basic stages from the most ancient to the most modern. So for example, I've highlighted 3 on the board here, which I particularly like. So the first one, Da, is big. And I can show you in the book here how this one originated. So as you can see, it started off as basically a man, and then here a man with his arms drooping down, and then the current form that we use now. So I think that makes it quite easy to remember if you can actually see that it's a man with his arms out. The second one, Hua, for fire. So originally it was actually drawn almost like a childlike scribble of fire, and there you can see it graduated to the modern form there. And the final one that I flagged up here is Mu, wood. So you can see how it's developed, and basically, I hope you can see on the board here, this is the trunk with the roots and the leaves. And then the modern form, it basically has, like, you can see it as the trunk here with no leaves, the ground level, and then the roots down there. So this is how I learned all the thousands and thousands of characters that I actually know. And there's lots of space here for you then to practice the writing of them. Obviously this really works mainly for people who are new to Chinese. This is when you're just beginning with the vocab, because you know it just teaches you for the original single pictogram, and then you combine them. It doesn't have, like, obviously every character, it covers some of the more basic ones, although it does have a couple of volumes, so you get a lot. But having grasped the origin of the character, which for me was really important, because if someone says to you, the character for I is that, you know, or the character for water is that, and you think, well, why is that? And the teacher just says, you know, it's just the way it is. Then it always leaves that question mark in your mind, and it doesn't give you something to anchor your memory onto. So with this, you actually understand where it's coming from, and you can see the evolution of the character. So having learned them this way, I would then sit down with a huge stack of cards, okay, and I used to cut my own flashcards with a guillotine, and this is incredibly laborious. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but I would still recommend actually making your own flashcards rather than buying them, because I felt that actually in the process of putting some care and attention into making these flashcards, I was building up a connection with the character, and it was becoming etched into my mind. So if you had seen me when I was studying for my HSK exams, you would have seen around my apartment in Qingdao huge piles, shoeboxes of hundreds and thousands of cards. And on the front I would write the character, on the back I would write the pinyin and the English, and then I would go through a process whereby I would learn what it looked like. So I would see the character and I would know what it looked like, what the pinyin was and what the meaning was, and then I would learn on the flip side, and I would sort them into piles depending on can read, don't know the meaning, you know, so you know what the pinyin is, so you know how it sounds, but you don't necessarily know what the meaning is. Or there would be others where I would know the word and the tone, like the pinyin and the tone and the pronunciation, but I couldn't write it yet. So I would sort them through into various piles and work through them like that until I knew all of them. So all around my desk I would have this rotation of different cards, of different piles of cards. And this is actually a tip that I picked up off a girl that I was studying with when I first moved to Chongqing, and she got level 6 on HSK in the old system after just a few months. But to be fair, she did just sit at home studying. She couldn't really speak and get, so we spent a year together in Chongqing, and she basically spent a whole year missing out on all of the experience of hot pot and everything else and karaoke and all that good stuff, because she was just sitting in a room. But I mean, I'm not knocking her, I'm actually very grateful to her. The point is that this really works. It's worked for me, it worked really well for her. So I understand the origin of the character, then I create a flashcard, I sort it into piles, I do spaced repetition then of the learning, so especially learning before bed, to let that sit in your mind and marinate. So right before bed I'll do a pile of flashcards. Like some people say you can do it 3 hours before. I used to do some almost really just before going to bed. Then I would get up and test myself on them immediately the next morning. And this was a really important component as well, was the testing of it. So make sure you test yourself regularly. And in another video I want to teach you a memory trick, because I was really into mnemonics, and I think this helped me a lot. I will teach you that memory trick and the mnemonics you can do to help etch characters into your mind more. So all of this I was doing back in the day, really, you know, we didn't even have iPhones back then, it was Palm Pilots, and I did actually get a first touchscreen HTC which had Plecodict on it, the Chinese dictionary, but no one was really using much tech. So this was all hand done, and to be honest, I've got to say, I actually recommend that because it's extra effort, but you're invested in it. You have some sort of connection to it. So I think that actually helps. But if you are more tech savvy and you don't want to do any of that, create your own digital flashcards, do spaced repetition. You can create flashcards in Pleco, lots of other software on your iPhone, test them, you know, do spaced repetition in Scritter and other software programs, because it is the spaced repetition which memory studies have shown really help etch that into your brain. So that's everything I've got for you today. I just really wanted to big up Zhang Laoshi. She's awesome. I really love these books. So if you can, get hold of these, or if not, there's other ways you can learn. But I would, you know, online you can see the origins. I would try and understand the background of the characters. Make sure you flashcard them up, do spaced repetition, and test the hell out of them, you know, by yourself at home. Okay, I hope that helps, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.